of this year. Mayo 214 to 110. They beat Kerry by in McHale Park in Castlebar. I have to say, I hold my hands up. Mayo have completely shown me up in this one. I thought maybe Kerry could get the better of them, especially when I saw Seán O'Shea and David Clifford in the squad. But Mayo absolutely stormed ahead, went 1-2 to no score up. Ryan O'Donoghue with the early goal, Jordan Flynn's beautiful point, and James Carr's goal. Because this guy, I started to think that this guy could only put the ball into the top corner, but what a finish this was, right down into the bottom corner of the Kerry net. That put them 2-7 to 2 points ahead. Tony Brosnan pointed just before half-time, 2-7 to 3 points. It was coming in. I remember coming in and seeing the scoreline because obviously I missed the start, but then I went back and watched it. I remember seeing the scoreline and being like, what is going on here? I didn't expect Kerry to be that far off Mayo.
Yeah, you could look at Kerry's changes and everything else and think there would be a massive drop, but at the same time they still had their best fullback line available to them. Both O'Sullivans played. Tom O'Sullivan, Graham O'Sullivan, Jason Foley played at fullback. Tyg Morley was in at centre back. Paul Murphy was out there. Fair enough, they didn't have their goalkeeper. Shane Ryan was on the bench. And still have Gavin White to come back. But defensively, they still had their best team available to them. And Mayo cut them open time and time again. Ryan O'Donoghue, brilliant opening goal. James Carr, as you said there, he's... I remember when he burst onto the scene in 2019, when he scored that goal against Galway, and you were thinking this is the next big star that Mayo are about to produce. And a few Mayo footballers under the James Horan era, he sort of just fell off a cliff and you were sort of wondering what happened to him. But he's come on leaps and bounds for Kevin McStay. And when you actually look at Mayo and you look at Kevin McStay, he's really improved a lot of these players even early on. And I think that's a big, big positive. James Carr, as we said, has come on leaps and bounds. Jordan Flynn looks like a sensational footballer. The power, the power and physicality of Flynn, when he's running through, nearly reminds me of a bit of a Kevin McManaman, the way he was just weaving in and out. Obviously, he's had the goals to his game, but the points was absolutely sensational, and he's getting the best out of Aidan O'Shea as well, which we not many of us probably seen coming, and probably even most Mayo fans probably didn't want Aidan O'Shea in the squad this year. But you have to say it's working. And then I think the most impressive thing, actually, from a Mayo point of view, that's probably gone unnoticed has been their defence. When you think about it, Lee Keegan, Oisin Mullen, Robbie Hennelly, all not there. But they're defending brilliantly. They kept Kerry out. Conceded a consolation goal. David McBride has looked very good. Colm Reap has looked very good. So, from a Mayo perspective, considering the amount of changes in the summer, I'd be very positive now if I was a Mayo supporter.
Agreed. I think considering the start to the McStay era with Oisin Mullen going to Australia and Lee Keegan announcing his retirement, it was literally something out of a horror movie. But Aidan O'Shea, you're right, has looked absolutely brilliant in every game that he's played under McStay so far. He set up the case in point, Jordan Flynn's point, to make it 2-10 to 4 points in the second half. That was all Aidan O'Shea, winning that ball, bouncing off a few Kerry lads, drawing defenders towards him, and then Flynn times the run perfectly and over the bar. The thing that I've been crying out for Mayo to do if they're putting Aidan O'Shea in a full forward is kick decent ball into him. Actually play a pass that he doesn't have to go and win. Play a pass to his chest. Because I'm sure both of us can agree. Do you remember that semi-final against Dublin in 2015 where Dublin had about 3 lads marking him? And Mayo just fired the ball into the clouds for him every time. And they just expected him to do it all on his own. That was... And then after it, they're saying, well, Aidan O'Shea, a full forward doesn't work. It's no, he can work. The ball you were giving to him was terrible. But the ball that Mayo were giving to Aidan O'Shea in this game against Kerry was excellent. And if they do that going forward, I think this can work.
Yeah, he's got the height and strength advantage. And I think that the thing that maybe Mayo were sort of looking towards in the past was, as you said, there were, foreign balls into him that were often sort of looped balls and balloon balls, really, not really good ball, as you said. And then relying on him, not just to catch it, but also score. But I think with Aidan O'Shea, probably as he's gotten older, he's probably not the most agile in terms of when he catches the ball. He's not quick and sharp, and he can't weave in and around the players just because of how he's built. But what he can do is, if there's a player in front of him, a player to his left or his right, he can set them up quickly. And like the thing is, when he does get that ball, and I've always said this about Aidan O'Shea, he's very, very hard to dispossess. Like majority of the time, you have to end up fouling him because he's such a brilliant ball carrier and he's such a big man in terms of size that it's very, very hard for any player of any nature to actually try and stop him. And that's why in the past Dublin have often put 1 or 2 players there to try and stop, when he has got the ball. But if he has the likes of James Carr, Ryan O'Donoghue beside him, and even a Tommy Conroy maybe to come back in, like sky's the limit really for Mayo in that sense. And like a lot of positives from a Mayo perspective in terms of Aidan O'Shea, because like there would have been a sense last year that he was leaving the team or coming to his last days, and we'll see what happens as the year goes on, whether they can keep doing this and whether that consistency stays there. But so far, like very, very impressive stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. And then obviously before we move on to Kerry, I completely agree with what you said about James Carr as well. Since he came in, I think James Carr, in terms of natural ability, in terms of talent, I think James Carr has the ability. This is a hot take, but I think he has the ability to be one of the top 5 forwards in the country. I think if you're talking pace, power, finishing ability, like look at the goals that this man has scored. Look at the points that he scored. He doesn't do it easy. And I'm thinking if you put him there and you trust him and you believe him, I think he could be absolute world beater.
Yeah, like he just needs to add that consistency and add a bit more output. And it's a strange one with James Carr. Like he's like at times he misses easy chances, but then he's
the other thing. Yeah,
he's scoring the hard chances. Do you know that way? Like
yeah, he's the type of player that would make you tear your hair out, but then would do something remarkable at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like he could, like maybe in like a comparison earlier with Darwin Núñez of Liverpool in some ways. Now I wouldn't say James Carr is missing as many sitters as he would be now with Liverpool, for example. But at the same time, like he is, like when you look at his height, like he could put together a 30-second, 1-minute highlight reel of James Carr, and he'd look as good as David Clifford. Do you know what I mean? With some of his goals and some of his points. So yeah, like, and he's young as well. I think he's only 22, 23. So he's a young enough player. Physically, I'm sure he'll fill out as he gets a little bit older.
He's already a big lad. Like he's already.
Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, like I would agree. Like if he can add a bit more output, a bit more consistency, I think he'll. I think he could kick on.
Sky's the limit, yeah, for sure. Obviously we knew going in at halftime, Seán O'Shea and David Clifford are coming on, and this is the last point that we're going to make on this game. Is obviously a shout out to Barry O'Sullivan, who did get the Kerry goal at the end, but when David Clifford came on and when Seán O'Shea came on, it was like I was just like I know this sounds so stupid. I knew how good they were, but when David Clifford came on, it was like ridiculous how good he was. I think his first 3 touches all ended in 3 points. Like it was like what is this guy? Like he comes back on, first shot at the post, it doesn't even look like there's a shot on, and he swings it over the bar. Second touch, point. Third touch, point. Seán O'Shea swings one over from an impossible angle with his weak left foot. Like the two of them just looked awesome when they came back in. And for Kerry, it's good knowing that they still haven't missed a beat.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like especially David Clifford. Like, I mean, it was tough for Kerry to get them on the ball, I felt, in the second half. And it probably wasn't really until the final 15 to 20 minutes that we seen them do damage, mainly because they just weren't getting ball into them. But as you said there, like, as soon as Clifford got on the ball, like no rustiness, still was weaving in and out, like Mayo with 2 men close to him, and he was still finding space to get points. And yeah, it was mad, all right. Like the difference between Kerry having David Clifford and Seán O'Shea on the pitch compared to when they weren't on the pitch was night and day. Like absolutely